Hi, I'm Bobby Hood. I'm an online tutor for the ACT, and I've created zenPrep as a way to share my tutoring strategies with you. Many students, when they take the ACT reading test for the first time, find that they get bogged down as they're reading the passages up front. And then, while they may be able to answer some of the questions correctly, suddenly they realize that the time is running out on the test when they're still only about halfway through. This is because you are probably reading the passages the way you would passages in English class. You are like trying to read in great detail and understand all the important things about the passage. But the problem is the ACT doesn't actually test important things. It doesn't ask questions about those. It asks questions about random, unimportant details from the passage that you probably wouldn't remember anyway. So it turns out that reading in detail up front not only wastes time, but actually makes the test harder because you've got all these details in your head that then are memorable and lead you to choose trap answers on questions that aren't actually answering what they're asking. So instead, what you want to do is read up front, not in detail, not for 5 or 6 minutes, but read quickly like it's something you're interested in for about 2 minutes. Look at it this way. If someone sent you a text and said, hey, here's an interesting article about that band or that movie or whatever it is, something that you're interested in, you wouldn't open that article and try to read it in great detail and understand everything about it. Instead, you would just read through it really quickly to see what it says. That's all. That's the way you want to read a reading passage up front on the ACT. The reason this works is because the ACT reading test is almost completely a big word search puzzle. And we'll talk about the word search puzzle strategy in a later video. But what this means is you want to just pick a passage to start with that's not that hard to start with. Often the fiction passage, which is the very first passage, the fiction passage will sometimes slow a student down and not get you off on the right foot. So instead, pick another passage, one that's not fiction, one of the other 3 passages, maybe the one that's not a dual passage. Start with that passage. And then once you've read it up front, 2 minutes or so, if you get bogged down and find yourself having difficulty reading it, just stop reading. You don't have to read the passage up front. It just helps to find things. Once you've finished reading it up front, just dive into the questions and don't do the questions in the order they're presented. Instead, find a question to start with that will be easier for you to do. Maybe one that has line references in it or that has words that are easy to search for in the passage. Do those questions first and save the general overview questions like the main point questions, the ones at the beginning often are like that. Save those to do at the end once you have read the whole passage in detail while you're doing all the other questions. If you work it that way, you will save so much time with upfront reading, and if you work the questions as word search puzzle questions, you will suddenly find that time pressure is no longer this much of a difficulty on the ACT reading test. Again, my name is Bobby Hood. You can reach me to sign up for one-on-one tutoring or ask questions at my website, bobbyhoodonlinetutoring.com. And please click subscribe on the zenPrep channel on YouTube so that you can continue to see more videos like this.